Reparation is not a nicety, it's a necessity. What are the conditions? What are the conditions that precipitated black folk getting into this dilemma? And what black labor, white wealth did, it tracked 800 years of history in very systematic terms to show you every strategy, every technique, every law, every public custom, and every public policy that was used to enslave black folk around the world and to maldistribute almost 100% of all this nation's wealth, power, resource, privileges, businesses, and controls of all levels of government into the hands of the dominant white society. And what slavery and Jim Crow segregation did with black folk, it intentionally maldistributed all the resources away from black folk and created a real-life monopoly game. Black folk in America are playing in a real-life monopoly game that you're totally ill-prepared to play and win.
Peace, family. Welcome to Black Star TV 2.0. It's your boy, Black Star. And if you're not subscribed to the channel, please make sure you hit that subscribe button. If you already subscribed, I appreciate the love and support. Let's get started, family. So the other day, Amos Brown, Reverend Amos Brown of the NAACP chapter of the San Francisco NAACP had put out a statement rejecting the $5 million cash payment that was being proposed for foundational Black American residents of San Francisco. So being as though, and I want to congratulate all the people on the ground that was putting up a fuss and, getting on their top, because it wound up making them put out a statement, another statement, walking back the rejection of the $5 million. Because again, foundational Black Americans, men and women, we are all coming together on this reparations thing. And that's like a beautiful thing, because this is going to happen, right? And they know it's going to happen. That's why they pushing out all this opposition. But I wanted to just show y'all the person who Amos Brown actually, really messes with and deals with heavy. And we can understand why he came out so fast to oppose cash reparations. So here we go. I'm going to share my screen with the family real quick. So here we go. So he wrote this on March 14th. The original one he wrote on March 14th. The one he's walking back, this one right here, was wrote on March 16th. So 2 days later, family, we got him to walk back his rejecting the $5 million cash reparation, because it says NAACP San Francisco branch clarification of the rejection to $5 million reparation payment. Now, they're trying to clarify and say they wasn't against it, but on the original one he wrote, which is right here, right? It says the San Francisco NAACP rejects the $5 million reparation payment to Blacks. Calls for reparations to focus on investments and opportunities in key 5 areas, right? And we went over this in my last video, right? Investment in education, economic empowerment, housing, healthcare, and a Fillmore Heritage Center. So now, family, let's go back to the new one where he recants what he was saying, right? So now he's saying that they want to clarify the rejection of the payment. So it says, although we feel there should be some form of cash payment installments to each Black Americans, according to the agreed upon qualifications, we know the facts, they are as follows, right? Now, he's just kind of talking about the people, the president and all these other people who are saying no to cash reparations right here. But then right here, he says, again, there should be some form of cash payout installments, but 5 million is an arbitrary number. Presently, there is no explanation of a method of how 5 million will be allocated, right? More than 5 million may be needed, but that's not what you said in the other letter. That's not what he said in the original letter. Do you see what I'm saying, family? So he's trying to say, watch this. So look, it says, the headlines from the media has made San Francisco reparations plans to pay back America, San Francisco, 5 million each. It is a smear campaign and an intentional fallacy designed to keep the focus on what is practical. No, $5 million is practical because they can print out all the money that they want to print out. the federal government, and they can get for real the money, and we don't really care. You just gonna have to come up with the bread, because you come up with it for everything else. But that's not the point, family. The point is that they came out now trying to turn around and say that they didn't oppose it, right? Because it says the city and county of San Francisco claims to be a progressive and liberal metropolitan city, but it is diametrically opposite. While the reparations recommendations for Black Americans were unanimously accepted by the San Francisco Board of Supervisors, they did not vote last night because the recommendations would not have passed. But see, again, family, watch this. Now watch, hold on. Before I even break that down, I want to show you. See, this is him right here, Amos Brown. See who he's tied in with? Look at the people, the type of people that he's tied tied in with. See, because birds of a feather flock together. Here he goes right here, right? Birds of a feather flock together. You were sent to reject that $5 million cash payment. And in your original statement, which we can go to, right? You never said anything about that you really agree with cash payments. You just didn't agree with it being $5 million. Nothing. You said nothing to that point. It just says you reject the one-time $5 million cash payment to Blacks, but instead called upon the city to make investments in 5 key areas to atone for the history of racism, discrimination, and mistreatment. And again, you try to use history, racism, discrimination, and mistreatment because that allows other people to latch on. And again, now, family, I'm going to show you what the qualifications is for the San Francisco reparations. And this is why we always have to be on point with them doing these type of things. Anytime they're having meetings, anything, groups, whatever, we need to be present and we need to be letting our voice be heard, because this is the type of stuff that happens. Now, we're going to go into the qualifications and the eligibility of the people for the San Francisco reparations. So watch this. They came out with eligibility. Now watch, family. This is why we have to be on them, right? Checklist for the eligibility required. An individual who has identified as Black/African American on public documents for at least 10 years and 18 years or older. Now that's dope. Right? Because California has already said that African American, and I know we don't like this word, African American. I know some of us, some of the Moors don't like the word Black, but California has already put into, legislation that African American means a descendant of a slave that is not an immigrant. They already broke that down, and they did Caribbean Blacks and all of that. And everybody else was in the same legislation to break down what they are and what they are not. So when it says African American, don't be scared of that, family. Don't be scared of that right there, for California anyway, for California purposes anyway. But it says you must meet at least 2 criteria from the following list. Must have supporting documentation. Born in San Francisco between the 1940s and 1996 and has proof of residency in San Francisco for at least 13 years. That's very vague. But I'm guessing because the individual has to be Black African American, that, the person born in San Francisco would have to be African American anyway. All right. Migrated to San Francisco between 1940 and 1996 and has proof of residency of San Francisco in the last 10 years. Right? Last 13 years, 13 years. All right. Now, personally or the direct descendant of someone incarcerated by the failed war on drugs. Now, record an attendance record of attendance in San Francisco public schools during the time of constant decree to complete desegregation within the school system. descendants of someone who enslaved through the U.S. chattel slavery before 1865. Displaced on the direct descendant of someone displaced from San Francisco by urban renewal between 1954 and 1973. But watch this, family. I'm going to go back up here real quick because I didn't break this part down. Right? I didn't break this part down because it's still saying black, though, because it says /black. And I believe that they have the word black on one of the legislative things. I was saying that they have African American, and it says it's a person descended of child slavery. Now, this might be where the trick is, to be honest, with the black. This might be where the trick is, because if this and this are two different things, right? Based on what they're saying the definition is in the legislation, right? Means that this black and anybody born from 1940, 1960, we know it was immigrants that were black that's now over here before 1996. Get what I'm saying? And migrated from 1940 to 1996. You see what I'm saying? So this is how it can get tricky. And then you're saying, oh, well, someone personally or direct descendant of someone incarcerated by failed war on drugs. Now, again, you can also implement somebody in there that is not a foundational Black American if Black and African American aren't meaning the same thing in the definition. So again, it's a little bit of tricks to this. But what we do got to understand is we have to watch out for these people. We have to watch out for these people. This is coming directly from the White House. They have multiple pictures together. They have multiple pictures together. This was on Kamala Harris's website. This was on Kamala Harris's Twitter page. You see what I'm saying, family? So what we have to do is keep staying on their ass. Because what they want is they want reparations to be everything except for cash payment. Because when it's not a cash payment, we can use the programs, right? Programs can be used to box foundational Black Americans out of things, right? I gave this example on the last video, but for those who didn't see the last video, I said, when it comes to housing, because housing was one of their things, right? Let me go back, right? Housing was one of the things that he said that he proposes in the programs, right? Here we go right here, right? Housing. Now I'm going to ask you guys, we want more housing, more public housing, more affordable housing, right? So basically he's saying we want more projects. We want more project buildings for foundational Black Americans to live in, right? So now we're getting vouchers for this, which is like Section 8, right? So if there's a big apartment building or a big project building and they're getting vouchers for Section 8, even though they don't have to pay a lot, right? Even though the person who's a foundational Black American doesn't have to pay a lot to stay in that thing, it might even be free. Let's just say it's free. They're staying in there free based off the voucher for the reparations that we got. The voucher is still worth money, and the person who owns the building is benefiting more than the foundational Black American. So now we are going to have some type of white company or some white family or white people benefit more off the policy that was meant to benefit us. Come on, man, how does that work? They only will try that with Black people. This person gets tax cuts. Again, if it's a project building, that's commercial real estate. That ain't even residential real estate anymore. We talking about tax cuts for the commercial real estate, all of it. Like, come on. Nothing in this directly, like even when they start talking education, all of that stuff depends on the person that's getting it. Because you could say, let's invest in education, and you invest in education, but people start going to school and graduating and still don't get anything out of it. You feel what I'm saying? That doesn't house anybody. That doesn't give anybody land. That doesn't give anybody access to resources. See, because land is resources. This is why they don't want to say, oh, you know what? We're going to give a land voucher. You ain't giving out a land voucher. You want to give housing vouchers, not a land voucher. We want land vouchers. Y'all feel what I'm saying? We want land vouchers. We want things that are tangible, that we can say, that I can grasp tangibly and change my life right now. $5 million would do that. 200,000 would do that. 100,000 would do that. You see what I'm saying? We can't keep allowing these people to try to put us in positions where other people benefit more than us. Because when you start talking, investing in these schools, investing in education, all these schools, all these colleges, all of them are not Black owned. So our resources from reparations that's meant to help us funnels back into other people. That was the direct cause of the shit in the first place. That doesn't make sense. Like, we shouldn't get reparations and it be allowed to go down in Wells Fargo Bank, who funded the slave trade. Like, do you get what I'm saying? It has to be parameters to this. It has to be things that happen. You feel what I'm saying? We can't just be doing things willy-nilly, because then shit is going to get confusing. But what we're not going to do is we're not going to let these coons and these Sambos and these Uncle Toms run around. Not Uncle Toms, because Uncle Tom actually isn't the real word. I already know that. We're not going to let these people run around and sabotage our reparations, because it's coming. Family, it's coming. It's coming. It's coming real soon, because we're not letting it die down. We're not letting the conversation die down, and we're not letting anybody turn. Like, they'll try to talk about immigration. We bringing immigration back to reparations. You want to talk about housing and education, we're going to bring that back to reparations. You want to talk about healthcare, we're going to bring that back to reparations. Every single topic y'all talk about in politics, we're going to bring it back to reparations. If you're not giving us a bag, then we're not voting. We're not voting because we're not allowing you to give Ukraine bags, Afghans bags, immigrants bags, and y'all doing all of this stuff for people, and then you're going to turn around and then try to tell us that you ain't got no money, and that everything that you do for us can't directly affect us. No. Everything has to be based off, oh, well, I have to do this program, and then I can hopefully this program helps me, right? I can get free college, but hopefully I get everything out of this college course that I'm supposed to, so that I elevate myself up, so that I get in a position to then be able to own a home. Somebody who stole all the land. So now I still have to work to get the land that you stole from me. Yeah, it don't work like that, family. It definitely don't work like that, man. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. Make sure you hit that like button, that share button, family. Get this out here, because we need to always be combative about this information. This is why I feel like, honestly, that Black people, we all need to sit down. Some of us, no, majority of us, and not sit down together or nothing, but sit down and study the arguments, study the reparations, why we should get it, who actually owes. You feel what I'm saying? Because a lot of these talking points can be crunched and deaded, but a lot of people try to make it hard because a lot of us don't know the information. We don't know about the insurance companies that, you know what I'm saying? We don't know about the banks that was involved. We don't know about all the things that was happening and going on, and all the money and, you know, all the laws and things that were happening for us to be robbed of wealth. You know, your average person don't know about the Homestead Act and how they was getting all this free land and free everything. And people still have it today. This wasn't back during slavery. People still have that free land today, and you're eating off these resources. You're eating off these resources, and that's what I'm saying. So, like, at the end of the day, we have to like do a lot of correcting. If people have to come up off land, if the government has to pay somebody else who had land that's stolen, and the government say, yo, look, you gotta give it up. Hey, maybe the government should pay them and say, hey, look, I know this is like a burden or a hardship that you got to give up what ain't yours in the first place. But hey, nigga, listen, I ain't mad if they shoot whoever it was a couple of dollars because they had to give up something that they had the whole time. That ain't theirs. You feel me? We'll shoot you a couple of dollars for your loss and you can go get something somewhere else, but you got to give the original shit back to the original people. And yes, the original people were black people here in America. We were here before the red natives. The red natives came from Asia and then migrated over to North America. Us, the blacks, migrated from Africa and came over here first. And then they came. Right? But again, nobody really built up the America the way there was until slavery. But we were here. We had our own governments. We had our own laws. We had our own everything. We were chilling. And then they came and used black people over in Morocco and all these other places and navigated over here. And then the first people you seen when you came here were black people. So we're not going to sit here and act like natives are this is their country and this, that, and the third. No, it's actually black people's country, to be honest. And we can get into the natives owing us money as well because they didn't build up the country. All they did was help the white people maintain slavery. So this is why we need to educate our children and we need to educate ourselves on this reparation topic because it's the number one trending topic in the country. It's the number one trending topic in the country. It was just on Twitter as the number one trending topic the other day. I'm telling you, family, we got this reparations thing coming and they know it. That's why they're trying so much sabotaging. But we as a group have to stick together and say, yo, look, right? We've never been this close to reparations ever. And that's why you would have to think to yourself, why would a person reject a $5 million per person payment? Why would they do that? Who in their right mind? Now watch this, family. I want to listen, man. Because until we truly get rid of these coons, and again, I'm not advocating violence, but I'm also not saying that violence isn't needed, right? I'm not saying that we should hurt these people physically, but I'm saying that shouldn't be that option shouldn't be left off the table, right? I'm not advocating violence, but I'm not saying that it should be left off the table as an option, right? Little mobsters and all that, you know what I mean? Let's take the Italians and the mobsters. Do you think if they were trying to get reparations and you had some other Italian people sabotaging the same way black people do you think those people would still be around? Back in those days, if they were trying to get reparations when the mob was like at its height and peak, do you think any Italian person would have came out publicly and said, yo, don't give those Italian people nothing. They don't need it. We don't need it. We're going to pull ourselves up from our bootstraps. Do you think that that person would be alive today? Only black people will allow other black people to sabotage their progression. Those days have to be over. And we can't just, like we're doing now, right? Even though we got him to recant his shit, we got to get him the fuck out the paint. He should never, ever be able to be part of the NAACP or part of any type of black organization because you don't know what you're talking about. And you don't have our best interest at heart. TP, I'm sorry, my Wi-Fi had disconnected. I don't know if it skipped. I don't know what's going to go on or how it's going to come out when I play the recording back. But yeah, family, we just, we just can't have that anymore. Those days are over. Allowing people to, undermine us and just let it go, man. Just let it slide. Just checking them online and checking them verbally. Like, it's only so much of that can go on because these people still stay around. He's still around. He's still going to be a cell. He's still going to be an agent because you're not going to tell me that that's not what this guy is. Kamala Harris literally said, if anything that I do for black people is going to benefit everybody as a whole, but then you turn around and you do something specifically for Asians. And now we got somebody who's close to you, who's something that's going to be done specifically for black Americans. Now, somebody who's close to you all of a sudden turns around and puts out a statement to reject that from happening. We got to get away from this Democrat, Republican, political BS. Family, I'm telling you, these people are here to watch us go under as a group. Tell you like I tell my peoples at work, find 3 to 4 people, they really say 7 to 8 or 8 to 9 like-minded people, but I'm going to say that's kind of hard to find, right? Try to find 2 or 3 or maybe even 4 like-minded people and, man, work together and get done the things that you have to get done, because I'm telling you right now, it's hard to work with all black people. It's hard to work with because you have a lot of coons. You have a lot of people who's not willing to put their best foot forward. You have a lot of people who just want to sit in the background and watch things happen and wait for the results to happen, and then gloss and floss on all the results. You have a lot of this. So what you have to try to do is get with like-minded people. And again, watch this. It's really not even a lot of us that's actually fighting and arguing and getting this person and people to walk their statements back and stuff. It's a nice little section. It's a nice, like I said, it's not super small, but it's a nice little section of black people who are coming through, pushing this movement, pushing reparations, cutting the coons off, cutting the tethers off from, undermining us and undermining our progression. Feel what I'm saying? And a lot of us don't get a lot of credit for all the work that they putting in. You know what I'm saying? Even the little work, because the little work is vital too. So family, make sure y'all hit that subscribe button. Make sure y'all hit that like button. Make sure y'all hit that share button. We up out of here. Peace and love. I hope y'all having a blessed weekend. Hope y'all having a productive weekend. And stay safe, family, man. We up out of here, all right? I can't get up out of here because